If you don't mind, how does my audio sound? Is it really quiet? So I'm talking right now, and you should be able to hear me pretty well. Sounds good? Awesome. Sometimes I have like a weird glitch. It just gets inaudibly quiet. Oh, also, hi, Mac. Good to see you again. This is going to be out of focus for a second. I'm just disassembling this Mac Plus to take the drive out. It's really nothing too exciting. I'm sure you've seen that process before. So we'll have some funny noises, and if you guys want to chat, oh, it's just you, Mac. I thought there was someone else in here as well. So I got in a set of 3D printed gears yesterday, a couple of days early, basically. And it's funny because this is the first time I've ordered 3D printed gears from Shapeways. And the reason that's kind of funny is because I'm the creator of the 3D printed gears. The design that's been open sourced and made available for everyone to download or print. And every time I've needed one, I just 3D printed it myself. And in fact, if you can hear something in the background, that's my 3D printer going right now. But the quality of my 3D prints as compared to the quality of Shapeways 3D prints, huge difference. So if you're looking at blurry camera and you're just logging on, I'm just taking apart a Mac super fast so that I can get to the floppy drive. And my camera is manual focus, so I just, don't want to have to go in and out between focus. I will show you this really quick though, if I can. It'll be a little bit of blurry camera. This is a paper clip with a pair of pliers. It's my Mac cracker. And it works really well. One of the things I've been really kind of concerned about is leaving divots and dents inside the case. Well, it's a tight one. Is it just me? I mean, I kind of agree. As long as it doesn't leave dents, I'm sure. Is it just me, or is it sometimes like these cases get kind of rough and sticky and they just don't want to open up? They fight you. Oh my God. So I'm just turning this around. You'll probably be able to see this right now. Putting this in the seam, just giving it a little bit of pressure. I don't want to like, oh, I got it finally. Jeez. Okay. Normally I say a little bit about, discharging the CRT. I haven't had this one on in a while, and I've already discharged the CRT when I had it last, so I'm going to skip that step. So the way that I like to do this, more modern fight, really? What do you mean, Brad? Like the cases are tighter? This, by the way, is in totally decent condition. A few of the Macs that I have, oh man, the batteries exploded. They're just abysmal. So what I'm doing, by the way, is I've taken out the motherboard, so it's just a little more convenient to access the screws for the floppy drive chassis. And that chassis I'm describing is this piece right here. I know you only have like a sliver of the view, but this will be way better for you once I get the chassis out. And again, just for anyone else, if you don't mind leaving a comment and letting me know how the audio sounds. I've had trouble in the past, and I just want to make sure I'm not like giving you an unpleasant experience here. I got to show you the screwdriver. You'll be able to see it better in a minute. I'm sure most people have probably seen this by now, but they're so convenient. And they're surprisingly strong for their size. Okay. Come on, buddy. I know I have your screws out. Okay, perfect. So get rid of this. Put this somewhere safe. Let's take a look. So this is the first bit. We got the chassis out. You can see it's sitting in there. I'm just going to take the screws out right now. You can see that screwdriver I was describing. Oop, I'll be doing that. Put it in too tight last time. I had these apart a few weeks ago. I was kind of investigating the floppy drives and giving them a little bit of a relube, clean up, that kind of stuff. Okay, now we got this chassis out of the way. Lift the floppy drive right out. Voila. Set to this side. Take out the cable. Okay, now we're ready. So this is a super quick process. I've only been recording, what, 7 minutes. I've already got the case open, took the floppy drive out. So the first thing we're going to want to do is take out some screws. Let me get my tweezers. Yeah, some good ones. So there's a screw here if you're not familiar with the floppy drive. We're looking at what is like the top of the floppy drive, and a screw here. Let me see if I can get that. Actually, I'm going to leave it with this focus because when I take it out, I think it'll be a little better. Okay. Just setting the screws aside in like individual piles so that as I put it back together, I don't mix anything up. Nothing worse than like cross-threading a screw into the wrong hole. Okay. So power cable. Oh, we're good to go. I'm going to set this to the side. I don't need this right now. Oh, good. Every single one of these I've opened recently has been the screw down type, and I'm looking for examples of the clip. In my experience, the clips are more common. And the reason I think that they're noteworthy is because they take a little bit of finesse to open without cracking them. In fact, it looks like someone's already cracked this one, but that's not necessary. That can be avoided. So if you look on the back of this, you can see there's a little slot right there. You can take your tweezers, put it in the slot, and apply pressure out. You can see I'm tipping it in this direction. That's going to release this clip on the top. So I'll try to do that slow, slow, slow. And voila, just flip the top right off. This one, oh yeah, I remember this one was, the gear wasn't broken. But I bought this big set. Okay, I don't know if you lost my audio, but I bought this big set of gears from Shapeways, and this is the gears that I was talking about that I designed and published. Of course, it's not like I did an original design. It's just that I recreated this scale of gear reliably for other people to buy. The reason I did it, by the way, is you could buy these already on eBay, and they're selling these for like $15 a pop. You can get this set, and I think this ended up being like 12. I can't remember exactly what it was, for $8 plus shipping. So you could get one gear for $15, or you could get 12 and give some to your friends for $8. You know, take your pick. Okay, you can see that's pretty easy to take off. There's the old gear. This one surprisingly is in good shape. However, when you take them out, they often look like this. What happens, and that's two separate gears, by the way, is these gears in contact with this little brass gear here on the motor, that's the actual motor drive. I don't know exactly, like, it seems like some kind of weird chemical reaction. You see it's green. In all cases, they get green. And it makes them really brittle. They just basically fall to pieces. So I know it's going to happen with this gear, so I'll just proactively take it apart since I have. So the first things first, I'm going to put the replacement gear on. with the small gear. You can see it here. Small gear, big gear, with the small gear pointing up, and the inverse for the mating gear. So I'll flip this over, slide that onto its little spindle, and we're what, 11 minutes in, and we just did the whole thing. Now I just do it in reverse. So let's go ahead and put this back in. And if you've watched any of my live streams, this is what I'm trying to describe. You take this clip, you put it underneath the brackets, and you get ready to push down, but you don't push down. Instead, put your tweezers in the little slot, pull them forward, and then without much pressure, it should hopefully, yeah, just pop right down. And that's now closed back up and good to go. I've already had this apart, cleaned it, lubed it. Let me talk a little bit about what that looks like, since, you know, in the matter of 10 minutes, we're pretty much done. Pop this back open, gently, just a little bit of pressure. So what I usually do is I clean any residue off the inside surface, and you can see this looks really clean. And then I take a really thin layer of grease and I apply around the whole thing. It's not necessarily for lubrication, although I'm sure it helps in any contact points, like around this hole here. It's as a protection to keep it from corroding. And I do the same on the top. I have seen these corrode only a few times, but my thought process is, you know, do something as simple as putting a small layer on here. Why not? And when it comes to these gears, what I do is I put just a touch of grease on this shaft. I'm trying to show you, there you go, on this shaft here. Just a touch of grease down below. And I usually put a little itty bitty speck of grease in one of the teeth, so that as it spins, it starts to distribute it across any of the mating teeth. I do the same thing with the gear that's replaced as well. So it's not complicated. My only suggestion is, you know, just don't put on too much. These aren't like high wear gears. They don't see a lot of traffic, and they don't need a lot of grease. The more grease you put on them, the more likely it is that they're going to get gummed up at some point with dirt and dust. Okay, coming on back. So here's our friend again. Put this down here. That's pretty much good to go at this point. Put this back in. Boom. And this one back in. And we can put it right back in the Mac. We're good to go. So just 2 screws, put in the back, one here, and don't forget your power clip. It's a huge bummer if you forget this. You got everything back in the machine, and then you're like, oh gosh, it's not working, and I know why. So don't do that to yourself. So let me set this aside for a moment. Yeah, brand, $15. I like wholeheartedly agree. And the only reason they're $8, by the way, is because of Shapeways manufacturing costs. You can buy one at $8, or you can buy the 12 at $8. And of course, I encourage everyone to buy the 12. If I could sell them cheaper, I would. I make 50 cents off of every sale. So I'm not looking to make money here. I have a full-time job. I'm comfortable financially. I want people to have access to these, you know, devices so they can maintain their own equipment as long as possible. By the way, what I'm doing here is there's a little knob that sticks out, and that's what this aligns up to. I'm just looking at the side to make sure I have it lined up. And when I put these screws in, you may not have been able to see it. My hand was in the way. I'm going back a couple of threads until it clicks in. And then I go forward, boom. The reason I do that, if you're not familiar, is it makes sure that I'm not cross-threading the screws. When you go back and you let it click into the existing thread, that means when you go forward, it's already mated, which is a huge benefit on the plastic threads and inserts. I'm waiting for that click. There we go, got it. Okay, last one. We'll see if we have enough room. It's a really close fit. If I don't, I'm gonna have to go back and loosen these all up and slide it forward like 0.5 millimeter. Yeah, that's a close fit. Okay, home the truth. And there you have it. Not too bad. Just a little turn here, turn here. And then I can push this forward a little bit, like so, and it should mate now. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Come on, buddy. Needy, very needy screw. There we go. Okay, it's funny, you know, when you think about it, big picture, that took almost as long as putting all the other screws in combined. Okay, this chassis is now ready to go back in the overall chassis. And when I say the overall chassis, I'm referring to the one that mounts the analog and motherboard to the front panel. Put this bad boy in, and 4 screws from now, I'll be ready to test this. Testing on my side just means booting it up and attempting to eject the disk. A quicker way to do it is put an invalid disk in, and it should reject the disk and just spit it out. Basically, all I want to do is make sure it's ejecting. I had one recently where I think the eject mechanism, or sorry, I should say the eject switch, which is part of the eject drive, was failing. And even after being repaired, it just wouldn't eject. So that one's still on the workbench to be investigated. Okay. By the way, do you guys have any audio interruptions? Sometimes when I get text messages, it sounds really funny to me. Okay, we're good to go. Talk about short and sweet. That was beautiful. Let's put the motherboard back in with it open, and we'll test this eject. I'm going to put a bad floppy in. It'll be an empty PC format floppy with the expectation that it should reject it. I'm also going to tell you a little bit about my test power that I have set up here. For anyone else who wants to work on some of this older equipment, it doesn't have to be PCs or Macs or anything like that. This is just safety and prevention for your older equipment. Thanks for that, Mac and Bran. Appreciate that. So what you're going to hear, actually, I'll try this. You should be able to see the floppy drive peek in there. Okay. Now I can't, but you can. Anyway, so let me get that disk. So let me talk about my power setup here, and then we'll test this disk. Put this down here so you can see it. Okay, so what I've got going on is a ground isolated transformer, which means if I contact something that's energized, you know, with my fingers, for example, the likelihood of me getting a shock is reduced. Reason for that is I won't be part of the ground loop. However, if I have something wrong with my configuration and it's grounded, then I will be part of the loop. There's the gears for you to look at. And then I have something called a dim bulb tester. Pardon me. The dim bulb tester is basically pulling current for the PC, or in this case Mac, through a bulb that's rated for about the same watts, maybe like, actually more, definitely more, like 4 times the watts that you want to pull. In this case, I'm only expecting a max of like 30 watts from the Mini. And if it tries to pull more than you're expecting, the bulb will light up and basically soak up the extra current so that the computer can't, you know, go kamikaze, like if it has a bad component. And then finally, as the last piece, I got a little circuit from eBay, or a little module that allows me to see like the phase, the watts that I'm pulling, the voltage that's going in. It's pretty handy, especially for this kind of diagnosis. Okay, I've said my bit. Let me go back and get this plugged in. So what I'm doing right now is I'm plugging this in, and momentarily we're going to hear that iconic bing, and we'll test this floppy drive. Before I do that, I just want to make sure I'm not going to electrocute myself, so I'm having a little look at what I've got plugged in here. Okay, looks good. I guess we're all ready. you saw him use a dim bulb tester or shock himself. Hopefully it was the dim bulb system. All right, bing. And then once this is asking for the floppy, which you of course won't be able to see and I can barely see, then I'll put this in and we can cross your fingers for me, see it eject it. I'm also going to take my headphone off and try to put it up close to the eject drive, because a lot of people say that these replacement gears have a little bit of a different sound. So I want you to be able to see that too, or hear it in this case. It's gross, dirty. This case though is really great. It's one of the platinum cases and it's in really good shape. Okay, it's asking for the thing. Let me put my let's see if I can get this to. I'm trying to trick my AirPods into thinking I have them in my ear. And they don't want to be tricked. Okay, never mind. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this. Hopefully you could hear that. Okay, I'm ready to go. So I should try to read it and it'll be like, I don't know what you're giving me, get this crap into my face. There we go, it ejected. So that worked. I did definitely hear a different noise. It was a little more like mechanical or grindy. They're not grinding, if anyone's concerned about that. I think it's just that the teeth, they're not perfect compared to the original. So they don't interface with the motor drive as cleanly as the original does. They still work and they're still reliable. I have lots of people that write to me and thank me, and I've had reviews posted on the 68K MLA forums. So they seem to be pretty broadly accepted. That being said, and now that we've tested it and I'm pretty much at the end of this stream, if anyone has requests for replacement parts, any machine, but in particular on some of these older Macs, please let me know. I'm interested in creating replacement parts that'll help the community. So feel free to reach out. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this stream because my dinner has arrived. Thank you.